Check out FlipsideGaming.com for all your gaming needs. Use the promo code HEROES to save 10% on any purchase over $10. See the description below for details. Hey there, this is John from Heroes and Legends, and welcome to this special edition of the Magic the Gathering Market Watch, where we're going to check in on price trends for Ultimate Masters. The set's been out for almost 2 weeks now, and we're going to check in on which cards have been going down in value this week and which have been going up in value. Quickly before we get started though, just a fast reminder, if you check out the description below, you'll find a few ways to support the channel, one of which is our Patreon page. You're also going to find links to products on Amazon down below. If you make any purchases, once you go through that first link, we'll get a small percentage no matter what it is. And finally, Flipside Gaming still offering a promo code for our viewers. Hopefully you can save a little cash while you support us. And as always, thank you not only to the folks that look at those links, but to each and every one of you. Y'all make the channel what it is. So let's get into it. We'll begin with the top 10 Ultimate Masters cards that have lost value this week. Remember, when we look at prices today, they are average prices. Many of the cards that are going down in value, in fact, 9 out of these 10 are rare cards. Only 1 is a mythic. Now, the mythics that perform well in a number of different places, you're going to see those on the other list. But the rares that have extra copies out there, especially ones that have maybe a little more of a limited scope when it comes to appeal for players, they are still going down in value, and you might be able to find some good deals on them in the coming weeks. So let's see what's happening here. We'll begin with number 10, Goryo's Vengeance, down 14 cents to $13.89. And this is a really good example. This is a great modern card. It's seen play in Vengeance decks over the years, and it's never been reprinted before. It's from Betrayers of Kamigawa, so that was a while ago. Now, the reason the Betrayers copy, as well as this copy of the card, were a little more expensive a few weeks ago, was because they were harder to get a hold of. Now that there's more copies of this out there, the price has come down quite a bit, and I do think it's going to come down a little more. The problem with the Vengeance decks currently in Modern is you're not seeing a lot of them percentage-wise out there in the field. They're still good decks, and they could put up a good result at any given time, but there are a lot less of them right now in this current meta. Because of that, I do think you'll be able to find this card maybe closer to the $10 mark if you look around. Number 9, Containment Priest, goes down 16 cents to $4.99. Now, you will find this card in more decks than Goryo's Vengeance, but you're going to find them in Legacy and Vintage decks, and just overall, there's less players in that format. This is a great sideboard card in those formats to deal with some of the strategies there, but the problem with this card prior to the reprinting was, again, it was kind of hard to get a hold of. Originally from a Commander 2014 product, it did get a reprinting as a masterpiece, but this is the first time in a long time that a lot of copies have been getting out there into players' hands. This will probably go down a little more before it stabilizes. Number 8 is Phyrexian Tower, down 20 cents to $13.92. Now, this card has never been reprinted since Urza's Saga. That's way back. So, it's not a card that sees extensive play. A little bit of legacy play. It's more of a card that you'll find in a commander deck here or there, though. And because of that, it actually had a pretty high price point, at least for the original one, for a long time. But now with this reprint out there, it's softened up quite a bit, as you can see by this price point, and I do think it will soften up some more. Now, the foil version, this is the first time you can get the card in foil. Those currently are running around $60 or so. Number 7 is Life from the Loam, down 21 cents to $13.38. I do think this one is going to stabilize really soon. If you can find these for $10, $12, $13, I would probably pick them up at this point. This is a key part of the Modern Dredge deck, which has been doing very well recently. Even before this reprint was announced, it was doing great, and the card was starting to go up in value. The reprint kind of calmed everything down. Now, aside from that, this card sees play in other places too. Legacy Lands decks, 4-color Loam, Golgari Waste. Also, Vintage Dredge will play this. There's enough homes for this card that I feel like it won't be going down all that much more. Number 6 is Ruined Halo, down 32 cents to $5.66. Now, this is originally from Shadowmoor and finally gets a reprint here. The problem with the price point of the Shadowmoor card was a lot of it was hinged on the fact that it was hard to find that Shadowmoor card in good condition. Sets like Shadowmoor, Lorwyn, others around that time period, they had a lower print run compared to other modern era Magic sets. When it comes to playability, this card has seen a little play on the sideboards over the years in heavy white modern decks. Things like Mono White Martyr, for example. However, those decks aren't performing very well right now, which means this card has more copies in the environment and not a whole lot of people necessarily looking for them. This one will lose more value. Number 5, Maelstrom Pulse, goes down 41 cents to $6.50. Good modern card for decks like Jund, Golgari Midrange, among others. Real solid removal card. It might lose a little more value, but I do expect it to stabilize soon. Number 4 is Karakas, down 61 cents to $23. Okay, here is the lone mythic on this list. Why is this one going down? Well, a couple of reasons. One, it sees a lot of legacy play, a little vintage play, It's in some real strong legacy decks like Lands, Death and Taxes, Maverick, but that doesn't put as much demand on the card as if it was in a whole bunch of modern decks, for example. So that's part of the reason. Secondly, this is not legal in Commander, and when you don't have the Commander crowd vying for the card too, it's going to soften it up a little bit. I don't expect the card to go down all that much more. It should reach its low point pretty soon. Number 3, Getic Teague goes down 62 cents to $11.37. This is from Lorwyn, has not been reprinted until now. So there is a demand for this card, but now that there's more copies out there, it's a lot easier to grab, and because of that, it has softened up. This card sees a lot of sideboard play in Modern and Legacy, not always, but many times in some big decks like Humans and Hexproof. Again, I don't expect this to go all that much lower, maybe just a little bit before it stabilizes. Number 2 is Back to Basics, down 90 cents to $20.22. Another card like Phyrexian Tower that has not been reprinted since Urza's Saga. So there are Legacy players that have wanted to pick this card up, and now they finally get a pretty big price break compared to where it was prior to this reprinting. And it does see play in a lot of Legacy builds, like Miracles, for example, and not always just in the sideboard, because there's a lot of good non-basic lands in that format. Many times you'll find this actually in the main deck. But it does kind of have a little bit of a narrow scope, so I do think it will lose maybe just a little more value before it stabilizes. Now, this is, again, the first time you can find it in foil. Those foils will run you close to $80. Number 1, Engineered Explosives, down $1.37 to $31.99. This card got a little bit soft even before it was announced to be in the set, and it was just because percentage play was down a little bit, but it still sees tons of play. Legacy, sometimes out of sideboards, but out of a lot of modern sideboards. Also, it's in the main deck of Ironworks Combo, which has been doing better recently. That alone might cause this card to stabilize if that keeps up. Let's move on to the top 10 Ultimate Masters cards that have gained value this week. So many of the cards in the set not only have stabilized already, but are actually increasing in value. Many of them are mythics or just generally cards that see a lot of play. Number 10, Mikaeus the Unhallowed, goes up $1.26 to $15.75. Now you don't see this in competitive, modern, or legacy decks. However, this is a great casual card, awesome commander card. It's a mythic, and it's already going up in value. Number 9, Tarmogoyf, goes up $1.43 to $56.98. Now I have seen some good deals on Goyfs recently, so shop around. Again, we're looking at average prices here. But this card has been doing very good in Modern recently. Golgari Midrange and Jund, those are decks that got pushed a little bit thanks to Assassin's Trophy entering the format. Also, you'll find this in a number of other builds in the format, like Death Shadow builds, for example. Aside from that, though, you'll also find it in Legacy and Vintage, so it's a highly sought-after card, performing really well right now. Keep an eye on this one. Third Mythic in a row, Emrakul, the Aeon's Torn, goes up $1.85 to $24.99. Now, this is banned in Commander 2, but that's not stopping it from going up in value. Why is that? Well, because of the competitive play that it sees. Legacy decks like Show and Tell, Omnitel, they like this. If you're going to sneak something into play, why not have it be Emrakul, right? This also shows up in other Legacy decks as well as Modern and Vintage builds. Number 7, Cavern of Souls, goes up $2.47 to $62.71 this week. This got reprinted as a Mythic, much like it was reprinted as a Mythic in Modern Masters 2017. We got a little bit of a price break, and here we go. It's going up again. This is a card that crosses over into multiple formats. Do you like Tribal Magic? Then you probably like this card, whether you're a Commander player, a Legacy player, a Modern player, what have you. Now, this is in some big Modern decks currently, like the Spirits decks and the Humans decks. That has certainly driven the price. But ultimately, it's the crossover appeal that makes this card so hot. Number 6 is a Mythic. See the trend here. Temporal Manipulation goes up $2.64 to $23.99. Another card that was hard to find before. You could grab a copy from Portal Second Age, but those were difficult to get a hold of in good condition. Or you could get the Judge promo, which was not cheap. But now that we have this version of the card, any Commander players that maybe wanted a turn-taking redundancy in their deck, they can get this at least a more affordable price. It's not exactly the same as Time Warp because it doesn't target, but it's pretty close. Number 5 is Bitter Blossom, another Mythic, going up $2.90 to $32.67. This card sees more Legacy play nowadays than even Modern play. And in Legacy, it's not always like 4 ofs or anything. Many times it's like a 1 or 2 of out of the board or something along those lines. But still a very popular card. Number 4 is Mana Vault, up $2.96 to $30. This does see Vintage play, and it's also a great Commander or Cube card. And this one's actually been a little softer compared to some of the others. But this week we see it's another Mythic going up in value. The only rare on the list, it is Noble Hierarch, going up $3.01 this week to $53. So how does this rare make it into the sea of Mythics that is our top 10 cards gaining value? Well, it sees play in a number of places. A lot of big modern decks. Bant Spirits, Humans, Infect. You're going to find this in many legacy decks and vintage even survival decks. They don't always run it, but many times they will run 4 copies of it, especially recently. So this has extensive crossover appeal and will keep going up. Number 2, back to the Mythics with Dark Depths. This goes up $3.31 to $28. Now this sees play in a lot of legacy builds, including builds that revolve around this card. Also, it's a good Commander and Cube card. Number 1, Snapcaster Mage, up $4.25 to $59.99. Now, much like Cavern of Souls, this was in Modern Masters 2017 as a Mythic. It remains Mythic here. And we saw kind of the same thing when this came out. Basically, a price break for a little while, but now the card is starting to trend up rather aggressively this week. It's a key part of a lot of control strategies in Vintage, Legacy, and Modern. Alright, that is our look at Ultimate Masters this week. Saturday, we will be back with our regular market watch, looking at all the other aspects of the MTG secondary market. But until then, hey, thanks for watching. Please remember to like and subscribe, and have a great day. Hey, thanks for watching. This video is made possible through the generous support of viewers like you on Patreon. Check out the description below for links to our Patreon page, as well as our Amazon affiliate store, where a small percentage of all sales will also help support the channel. Finally, if you haven't had a chance yet to subscribe, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of the new videos on Heroes and Legends. Talk to you again soon, and have a great day.